Hey everybody, Leah Klett here with the Christian Post, and I'm so excited today to be joined by Joel Smallbone. He is the lead singer of For King and Country, and the band is gearing up for their new Christmas album called A Drummer Boy Christmas, as well as a Fathom theatrical concert event. We are talking about A Drummer Boy Christmas. Joel, you are doing so many different things all the time. I've loved to see, first of all, I think you're the hardest working man in the music industry, but you're always doing something new. You're always doing something cool. Talk about this
Mm.
project and bringing this holiday tradition to fans in this really cool and unique way.
It's funny you say that, Leah, because I feel like there's a lot going on. You are right about that. But when you get down to the brass tacks, it's two things. It's music and now movies, right? And everything is sort of encapsulated inside music with the band and really movies with the band now. So as you well know, because we walked through it together, we released Unsung Hero through Lionsgate earlier this year. And it was kind of our parents' migration story, and it was just a really profound experience on so many levels. And as we're kind of getting into the cinematic world, something that we've always been known for and we've loved is live performance and touring. And the tour specifically that we have had such a blast crafting over the last 6 or 8 years is our Christmas tour, a Drummer Boy Christmas. And so it was towards the end of last year, and we were doing kind of what would be our last arena Christmas tour for the foreseeable future. And it was sort of poetry because it was the last night of that tour. We thought, well, what if we take the cinematic film crew from Unsung Hero and we put them in a Toyota Center in Houston, Texas, with 12,000 folks, and we capture this up close and personal um, concert sonic cinematic experience that we could ultimately put in theaters in 2024. And thanks to Fathom and the kindness of God and a great team, from capturing it to editing it to marketing it, here we are. And I'm really proud to share that there's almost 100,000 folks that have grabbed tickets for it already, and it's still over 2 weeks away. So it's uh it's kind of a pinch yourself moment. We're pretty excited about it. It feels like a perfect gift to give folks at the end of what's been maybe the most epic year of my life so far.
This year has been incredible for you, and it's been so fun to see sort of your meteoric rise over the years. But how do you stay
Mhm.
grounded and sort of stay focused on your goals when there's so many
Yeah.
things going on around you? You have so many different projects that are just doing so incredibly well.
Well, you touched on it initially, right? I think it's focus. So it's like, yeah, you've got the King Country albums and you've got the King Country tours and you've got this King Country movie, but it's all when you drop down into it, it's actually all very much inside this kind of ecosystem that is very simple is the wrong word, but where I start getting very frayed and my spirit starts feeling very torn is when there's too many conflicting responsibilities or jobs or uh, projects in play. And so as much as we pour so much heart and soul into like the cinematic concert experience, it's like, well, but that other than, you know, Unsung Hero, the movie, which was really done before this year even began. We'd already had it edited and it was kind of that was sort of off to the races. The and touring and promoting, so there's a lot in that. But the only creative project I've really developed this year is actually Joel and Boy Christmas. And so it's about scheduling, it's about staggering, but it's also to me it's about focus. I'm a terrible multitasker. I need to, focus on loving God, loving my wife, my family, and pursuing this music and movies, and like that's kind of it, for me.
Okay, so you're from a huge family. I'm from a huge family. Holidays are so
Yeah,
fun. What are some of
yeah.
your favorite Christmas traditions?
Gee. Um, So many, so many. I mean, you got to go back to Australia to really highlight some of my favorites. So there's a couple of contrasts to a Northern Hemisphere Christmas as opposed to a Southern Hemisphere Christmas. One of the major ones being is the weather. You know, Christmas in the Southern Hemisphere falls in the summer because everything is reversed. But we've adopted a lot of your Northern Hemisphere songs and traditions, which can be very confusing. You know, you're singing about like Frosty the Snowman or chestnuts roasting on an open fire. You're like, what are we talking about? But similarly to if you follow that thought through, we don't have chimneys in Australia because it doesn't get that cold. So
Okay.
Santa Claus cannot go down a chimney, and therefore he can't put the stockings by the chimney mantle. He has to put the stockings somewhere else. So what ends up happening is he puts them at the end of your bed. Um, so you design a pillowcase or even a trash bag, you sort of paint it or whatnot, you put it at the end of your bed, and somehow you dare not wake up. The next morning, you'd rise, and there would be it would be filled with gifts, and it was just this magical. You'd put out some vitamin D milk and some, you know, chocolate chip cookies for him, and he couldn't eat it all because he had so many kids would give him vitamin D milk and chocolate chip cookies, so he'd only have a bit. But there was just something really magical about it. And then, as we moved to America, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, gee. I remember mum coming and saying that first Christmas, we're not able to give each other any gifts for Christmas because Santa either didn't know where we lived or, we couldn't afford for Santa to come. And I was so confounded by that. I was like, Mum, Santa Claus is not dictated to by our financial situation. And Santa Claus had a little bit of help. The first grade school class down the road found out that we couldn't give each other gifts. And so they sponsored our Christmas. And it was such an oxymoron because we didn't have a car, we were sleeping on beds made out of clothes. And yet we got more presents that Christmas than ever. And I remember going to mum. And again, it was this first, like, and it was snowy. So we built snowmen. And so my little boy brain fell out of its head because I was like, this is what all those songs are about. And, this makes so much more sense. And the fact that Santa Claus pulled through the way he did, it was pretty amazing.
He's amazing. He can do anything.
Oh, he can do anything. Yeah, I'm convinced.
So, Joel, you guys are taking a hiatus in
Yeah,
2025.
we are.
Talk about what led to this decision and also what you hope this break will do for you musically and creatively.
Yeah, well, one thing that we have worked very hard on, like I said, is live performance and shows and tours and just being present with people. And that's kind of a core belief of ours is that in the digital age where we're more connected than ever, but interconnected, but we're more relationally isolated because everything's on a Facebook post or an Instagram post, and there's so little like physical connection. So we love touring and we really struggled through the concept of taking time off, particularly a year. But the economy of touring is that you're putting out with these shows. You're putting something out. You're creating a moment with each other. But it's very hard to actually create a new song or a new movie when you're in these environments and you're putting out so much on tour. It's just you get home and you're just creatively exhausted. And so after a lot of deliberation and thought and prayer, we determined that taking a year out off. We say off, it's not really off. It's like a year away from touring, so that we can, work on some new music and work on a new movie. It's going to be a reprieving year in some ways, but in other ways, it's going to be very creatively, I think, inspiring. And I think my hope is that in 2026, you'll have a sort of a For King Country 2.0 version of us. So we'll see.
Yeah. So, can you tell me a little bit about what direction you're going to go in when you come back? Do you have any ideas there?
Oh, plenty of ideas. Plenty of ideas. But it's interesting though, because, particularly with music, the song writes you more than you write the song. So I have ideas about what I sonically want it to sound like and feel like. And then you get in the room and you kind of have to throw the rule book or even your preferences out the window, and you just have to sort of be available to the moment. So now films are obviously a bit different because we have two films in development, and you know, they're very, it has to be very spelt out and very specific. So you know that when you go in to create the picture, what you're actually creating. So that is, I can't share much about that specifically. But that's much more obviously um, very organized. So we might just have to do another interview to get to the bottom of some of the specifics at
I
a
think
later
so.
date.
I
Yeah.
think so. What message do you want to leave with your fans as you prepare to pause, take a little break, and prepare for what's next? What message do you want to leave with them?
Well, I speaking of Christmas, I think we don't just, you know, I don't just want Christmas this year. I feel like I need Christmas. And I feel like I speak on behalf of a lot of people in this country around the world that we need to be reminded of the great ideals of what it means to be a human. You know, this idea of this extravagant, self-sacrificial love and this exuberant joy and the redemption of mankind and the great story of this infant God coming to humanity and flipping the world on its head and turning BC into AD and most famous name around the globe, all of it. And so I'm really excited to, we're doing residencies, we're doing these shows, four at the Opry here in town, Peacock Theatre in Los Angeles, the Beacon Theatre in New York, and the O2 Theatre in London. And then obviously we are releasing this cinematic concert experience. So my hope is that we can have this grand celebration. And that whether it's in the theaters with us starting December 5th for a Drama Boy Christmas with your family, whether it's at one of these residencies, or whether it's you know, the live Christmas album that comes out in on the 22nd of November, so just a few days, that there will be we'll be able to celebrate Christmas as a band and as a family and as a people more than we ever have this year. So I think that's my great hope going into next year. I can't even really honestly get to 2025 right now because I'm so just focused on Christmas, you know?
Yeah.